So we're talking about Jimmy Butler and obviously what's been going on.
So the Jabari Smith news?
I did see that.
Yeah.
What happened?
Jabari broke his hand in shoot
4 to
around
6 weeks.
out of 4 to 6.
Okay.
So we're going to talk about Jimmy Butler. Obviously, was asked the question of whether or not, can you bring your joy back to playing the game of basketball while being on the Miami Heat? He said probably not. Now, he just got suspended for 7 games by the team for conduct detrimental to the team.
7?
He got suspended 7
28
games.
minutes ago.
They probably should trade him during that time.
I was going to say, this was also now where Shams reported initially that he requested a trade. He wants to be traded. The Heat came out, said they're not trading him. Jimmy Butler's agent came out and basically ridiculed Shams for lying and putting out a false report. But now it's reported that, I'm getting goosebumps talking about it. It's crazy as fuck. Shams reported he will literally go to any team. Any team, as long as it's not the Miami
Shams
Heat.
stood on business. He said, this was the story that I believed in the most, and now he looks like Jimmy's agent kind of looks nuts.
Well, he was right all along. Yep. I think the Heat probably just didn't want to make this public yet, and they wanted the Heat to trade Jimmy Butler behind closed doors and not make a big deal out of it. But the Heat probably didn't buzz, so Jimmy Butler made it, and he made a big deal out about it. Here's the thing I'll say about Jimmy Butler. I don't like the way that he's conducted himself this year. I think if you're on the final year of a deal, you have to play out that year. It's clear with the way that he's playing, he's disengaged. He really doesn't care. He just wants to be traded, and that report is accurate. He wants to play for any team that's not the Miami Heat. There are a couple hurdles in that because he has a big contract making $49 million per year, and teams probably don't want to trade a lot of assets for what could be a 1-year rental. Now, has Jimmy Butler's contract demands, are they going to change if he goes to a new situation? That's possible. The other layer to this is that Jimmy Butler just went through one of the most life-changing tragedies that anybody can go through. He just lost his father not too long ago. And that has to be brought up in this case because Jimmy Butler, in saying the comments during the playoffs about the Heat, for Pat Riley to be so aggressive in attacking him, knowing probably what Jimmy Butler is going through personally and not give him that grace, it definitely rubbed Jimmy Butler the wrong way. And Pat Riley, who's somebody who's stern, he doesn't, I think, just from what I've seen afar, he doesn't buy too much into the emotional aspect of things. That's somebody that is very hard to work with when they cannot level with, you emotionally in a tragedy that you went through. And Butler, I can, imagine him not feeling joy playing for the Heat. He's not getting a contract. And this is the place where, he got the news, life-changing news. How can you blame him for not having joy in a place that currently is also causing so much emotional trauma for him? So I think that what's best for him is a new situation. When I look at all the situations for Jimmy Butler to go to, the Suns is very unrealistic because Bradley Beal has to be in the deal. Nobody really wants Bradley Beal. The Mavericks is also pretty unrealistic. The Rockets could be a potential destination. I think the best team for Jimmy Butler that I want to see him go to, that I think it can shift the odds in where we view this team in competing for championship, is the Memphis Grizzlies. Ooh. I think the Grizzlies, if they can trade, they can trade Marcus Smart, they can trade Luke Kennard, and they can trade Brandon Clark to make the contracts work. So the only real valuable player they're giving up in that is Marcus Smart.
Brandon Clark.
And Brandon Clark's also really good. Yeah, you're right. And you maybe attach like a first-round pick.
Not that big now.
You can get Jimmy Butler, and you think about the Grizzlies roster with John Morant, Desmond Bane, Jimmy Butler, Jaren Jackson Jr., Zach Edey. Off the bench, you have Scottie Pippen Jr., Jake LaRavia. Jalen Wells is playing really well. Jay Huff, who he's had some good minutes for them when he's played off the bench. Like, this team is insanely deep, and you add a player like Jimmy Butler with his defense and his mindset to a team like this that I think they do lack some real veteran leadership. I think that puts them into like serious contender talks if Jimmy could go to Memphis.
Now, I wouldn't mind Jimmy to Memphis, but you're also, I don't know. Memphis has been playing some great basketball. Obviously, the defense has been all world. Jaren Jackson taking a step up in his offensive game, something that's pleasantly surprised me. But even still, you add Jimmy, now there's still a lack of spacing on the squad. That's where I understand the logic behind it. Now we're just going all in defensive identity, which fair, especially Jimmy Butler in the playoffs. Now you have someone that can really go tit for tat with Ja Morant down the stretch where the ball doesn't necessarily always have to be in Ja's hands, but Jimmy Butler has shown that he can also play off ball in those situations where you have Bam being a majority of the playmaker in Miami as well. This would be a strong destination for him. I understand that. I like Houston a lot though. The one that would be intriguing, whether you go and you package it's Dylan Brooks. Would Jabari be in that deal as well? Because I'm trying to make the money work. Whereas you're trying to get to 40.
Fred in it.
Excuse me, that's who it is.
And
it would
maybe
be Fred.
One young player.
Would you do Fred and Reed in that deal? Because Reed's basically a DMP.
If I'm the Rockets, I wouldn't trade
Shepherd.
any young player that's valuable.
I'd trade more
Sorry.
picks than young players.
The only young player that I'd probably be willing to give up is Cam Whitmore. That's it. But
been
Reed
playing good,
Shepard,
like,
But
Jabari
Reed
Smith.
literally is a
Whitmore's
DMP.
prolific.
Yeah, but he's also a rookie.
Top 4 pick.
I think Cam
His
is
skill
younger
set-
than Reed.
I think no.
He might
He might
I
be
mean,
younger
Reed
than
was a
Reed.
freshman.
Yeah, but I
Yeah,
think
but
he
Cam
was
is young for his age.
Cam was young.
I don't think
if they're
so,
not-
but
if they're not,
it's
if he's
close.
not
Same age.
they might be same age.
Now I only say that where the idea is Jimmy can ball handle. Obviously, he can play make. He could be the lead ball handler for you, but also now Amon has an opportunity where now if you really want to see what he can do as the primary ball handler, this would be an opportunity for that as well. Obviously, by trading Fred, it was also
Same age.
okay. That's pretty lit.
Reed Shepard's a little bit older.
He's about a month, yeah.
But
But
also,
it's
it's like
hard
Reed
to
Shepard, he's probably gonna get the reins next year. Like once Fred VanVleet's gone, because he has a a team option.
Can't trade Reed Shepard.
So
But Fred
yeah.
also means a lot for their defense as well. That's kind of
the
he
package,
does, especially on the perimeter.
I agree,
it's
but
a lot of money.
You can give him off.
You need $49 million, but you're gonna have to aggregate Steven Adams 12,
Nah, Fred and
Dylan
Jock.
22, and they're at 34. So you need another 15.
Fred 42, Jock 8, 50.
Yeah,
That's 50.
part of why
It's
you
an
give
ugly package though.
First,
you give up
first
the
round
draft
pick, 2 second round picks.
compensation.
I mean, you got to think about it.
Some
I mean,
draft comp,
I don't think right now we have to come up with a world-shattering trade package for Jimmy Butler. He's
right.
on the final year of his deal, and
And you're gambling with his stand.
any team is going to be non-committal to paying him $50 million per year.
Mm-hmm.
There's no team out there right now that says I want to give Jimmy Butler $50 million for the next 2 seasons.
I could see a world where Houston, if they do trade Jimmy, they give them like a Fred contract.
Yeah, that's
Yeah,
that's
it's like,
reasonable.
like a 1+1, a 2+1, something where the money is front loaded and stuff like that. I could see it where, and I don't even think Houston getting them, it wouldn't even be that bad.
Let me ask you guys a question. Random name, the Hornets.
Why?
You trade why? Because you
You're just
need.
wasting him at this point.
Well, he'd go to any team.
I think that was exaggeration. I really don't think he means any team.
but why would the Hornets do it?
They need a
So-
culture setter.
Detroit.
And you put a culture setter next to LaMelo Ball as well. Hopefully, Brandon Miller can stay healthy
I just
to what
don't-
some you put Bridges in that deal with Josh Green. You get that. It's around 40-ish. You can go and you put a pick in there if you really need to. You bring in Jimmy Butler. You have LaMelo. You have Brandon, Jimmy Butler, and you go and you have Mark at the 5. The 4 spot would be a tough one to fill, honestly, but already as is, the talent is limited there in the front court. But I mean, I don't dislike it where you need somebody else that can create beyond the court, which Jimmy also, you can argue, hasn't been there too. But you've already gone through phases of this season without Brandon, without LaMelo.
What do you trade though?
Like I said, Bridges, and you put in Josh Green with a first, maybe a couple seconds, not sure. But regardless, I feel like if we're just throwing a team out there that I was given the possibility of 29 other squads.
Right.
You know, I'm trying to think of
only-
one that.
I want Jimmy to go to a contender.
But if no,
The only
as a
downside-
basketball fan, I want him to go to contender too. But I say in the sense of if Miami wants to smack Jimmy in the face and be like, you know what, you said anywhere, okay, sounds good, Charlotte.
The only downside to that's the Hornets have 7 wins right now.
Yep.
They're on track to have the 4th overall pick. You have to go on to the lottery. I don't think trading Jimmy is going to make any difference in this next half year.
That's
And
fair.
Also, I don't think his attitude and behavior will mesh well with LaMelo Ball's attitude at
Ain't
all.
like none of that shit that's going on over there.
LaMelo's going to have like those like alien emojis and stuff like that. Dreams like, get me the hell out of here.
We're
Like,
gonna pull up
I
in a
don't
little
think,
Mario Kart school
I don't-
Jimmy like
He
that.
said anywhere.
I don't think their attitudes mesh well.
Yeah, I
at
think
all.
that was more of a hyperbole to
Yeah.
showcase how much he doesn't want to be with
But,
the Heat.
but let's have fun because it's kind of basic to just be like, you know what,
I think
Contender.
Memphis
I just don't think the Hornets are fun. It just seems like a waste of Jimmy Butler's time.
I don't disagree too much there.
I like Memphis. I think, listen, Memphis right now, they're, looking at it from by the numbers in EFG, they're top 6 at the rim. They're a solid, middle of the pack, mid-range team. They're 12th in mid-range percentage. But the three-pointer, like the non-corners, they're 8th in the league. So that's something really impressive. They're not good in the corner, or 22nd in the league, but non-corners, so around the top of the arc, they're pretty good at the three-ball. So they've been a pretty relatively efficient offense, even with Ja Morant, trying the jumper more and not being efficient at it, but taking more jumpers this year. You have Jaren out there, Santi Aldama. So, I would hate to give up Clark. I would rather give up Huff than Clark, because I think Clark, he gives you that lob threat. He gives you that versatility, guarding 3 to 5s. He's a really good rebounder. But if you can, because Ja Morant, it feels like he's coming with a different attitude. Same thing with Jaren Jackson. I feel like Derrick Rose being on the roster last year really, and I hate to say this because I don't want to make it sound like I'm calling Ja not a man, but it really, D Rose on the roster last year really helped Ja mature into being a much better leader off the court. And then last year, Jaren Jackson needed that type of year to kind of come into this year and be his own. Bane is starting to wake up. I think Smart gives you that leadership in the locker room. The only problem I have with Jimmy is I rewatched the Pelicans game today because I wanted to see what type of energy he was giving off, and it was really bad.
It's giving nothing.
Yeah, he was jogging up the court, didn't really offense. He kind of stood around, and it's funny they still won the game. The Pelicans are so bad, but like Jimmy really was just giving non-committal energy, and I feel like this is blind faith, but I really feel like if he goes to somewhere else, he is prepared to give his all 100%.
You know how Jimmy goes.
Yeah, he really does not want to be in Miami. You can see it all over his face. And I think Memphis gives you that, not that move where Kevin Durant with the Golden State were like, oh, they're going to win it all, when LeBron got the big 3 and clean, like, oh, shit, this is unfair. But no, Jimmy to Memphis gives you that, this could be fun.
Hell yeah.
This could be something that
like they could match up with OKC.
Yeah, they can shake the West up a little bit. This is a team that can maybe be a little bit more frightened with a little bit more time, because I think Jimmy still has it. It's just about putting him in the right spot. And I think with Ja, Jaren, and Bane, they still need a little bit more seasoning to their growth. They haven't really played much in the playoffs. They've been injured a lot. So I don't hate Jimmy to Memphis. I think that's a cool-ass destination. I don't know if it's on the market, but I think it's a cool-ass destination.
The Grizzlies make the most sense because they have the most amount of assets. They have that need with a couple of guys being hurt. But the Jimmy Butler landing spot that nobody's talking about is the Cleveland Cavaliers. This is an opportunity for the Cavaliers to get the small forward they've been searching for 5 years.
Make me nuts.
The craziest part about this,
that would stack it.
The craziest part about this is the fact that the Cavaliers can make it work financially if they aggregate. No, they could trade Jarrett because you have to make it worthwhile for the Heat a little bit and gain that center to pair alongside Bam would be perfect.
Bro.
But if you aggregate 4 salaries, they can make this work by saying out Karis LeVert, Max Strus, Dean Wade, who has been a very good shooter for them off the bench, and then lastly, Isaac Okoro.
You're sending a lot.
You're sending a ton of 4 rotation players.
Who'd you say? Karis?
Max Strus, Karis LeVert, Dean Wade.
But the Cavaliers are one of the deepest teams in the NBA.
I was going to say, Karis and Dean have been really good.
All their
You're right.
Yeah,
but you do have to give them something, and you're getting Jimmy Butler.
You get Jimmy.
Jimmy Butler is someone who in the playoffs will play 40 minutes a game for you, and off the bench you still have Ty Jerome, Sam Merrill, Georges Niang, and you open up minutes for Jalen Tyson. I think... Yeah, fair enough. He hasn't been shooting. He hasn't been shooting too well.
That's the playoff bench.
He's hard to watch.
I mean, the playoffs are going to be a 7-8 man rotation. I mean, I don't know why you're laughing.
He's
at that.
right.
Ty Jerome and Sam Merrill.
No, Ty is
good
cool.
Start.
But, hey,
and Sam
sorry,
Merrill.
not Drew. John, let's live in this
You're
world.
opening minutes for Jalen Tyson.
I agree. Let's
But
live in this world.
Ty Jerome's been great this year, but this is going to be the first time in the playoffs.
Let's live in this world where Jimmy does head to Cleveland, right?
That's okay.
Sam Merrill, too, is going to be his first time in the playoffs.
Ty should be fine. Ty should be okay.
When you have 4 All-Stars and you're starting 5, you're not going to have to
You
worry
would
too
literally
much
have
about
5
the bench.
All-Stars. You would literally have 5 All-Stars.
And if you want to
I don't know
beat
who
the
you
Celtics...
disrespected.
He keeps disrespecting Jarrett. That's twice now.
Stop fucking doing that. Stop doing that.
What's wrong with Jared Allen?
Don't disrespect Jared.
He's good.
Big J, don't do that, bro.
I don't have him as
I
an
love
All-Star,
the
but
Butler
he's
to
an All-Star
Cleveland
caliber
destination.
player.
I think if they could get
that would
Jimmy
be
Butler,
arguably best starting 5
yeah,
in the league.
it would be amazing. They're going to be a true contender. There's no doubt about it.
That second neighbor might kick
there's
their ass.
just-
You just
a-
need Donovan to start
deal.
kicking up.
There just
would he do
is
that?
there's just a
in
lot
general.
of depth you're
Bro, they're
giving up.
blowing teams out.
It is, but this
you're
is one
giving
of the
up
deepest teams in the league.
Karis LeVert. Ty Jerome has been great, but LeVert's their best player off the bench when creating for himself. Yeah, like
LeVert
he is
has
super
been-
valuable for them.
LeVert has been super valuable. Is not better than Jimmy Butler.
of course not.
Max Strus has been hurt most of the season. The 5 games he's
Like,
played, he's been so prolific.
Like I understand.
Wade's been really versatile.
Yeah,
love
Dean
Dean
Wade's
Wade.
really
Strus is
good.
more
I love
of
me
a-
some Dean Wade.
I don't really care about
about
Max
Dean
Strus
Wade?
like
It's
that.
funny.
Instead of
I
D-Wade.
was the first one to the Dean Wade party. All of y'all are second.
He's a great role player.
I know.
But
Really
John,
good role player.
John, let me. Dean Wade. We haven't even talked about him, brother.
Wait, did you just make that up?
No, him and John Conchar.
You talking more
John
about
Conchar
John
fucking sucks.
Conchar.
Like, I need you to know that from the bottom of my heart.
500.
Actually,
What
the
do you
Lakers,
mean?
the
Come on.
Lakers literally denied Memphis because they didn't.
I'm still,
not the
I'm
Lakers,
still
the
on
Nets
this
because they
point.
didn't want John Conchar.
I'm still on
They
the point
lost.
about the bench because I
They
do
lost.
think we're just overlooking it. We're just glossing over it. You're seriously telling me you trust a bench who the first three off the bench are Todd Jerome, Sam Merrill,
How about George
and
Niang
Niang?
instead of Dean Wade? He makes more. George Niang makes more than D Wade. How about him instead of D Wade?
Then you're saying too much to the Heat. 'Cause
Jo-
there's-
what?
Money wise,
Too much money. 'cause
That's
yeah,
what Fanspo
yeah.
told me.
Yes, Joel.
Okay, not player-wise,
He's
right?
just having none of John
My
today.
goodness.
Yeah, he's sick.
Nah,
of
he's,
it.
Okay.
he's done.
What'd you do to him?
He's aggravated with me today. I don't know why.
No, I'm just saying, like, it's too much.
But
What do you mean,
Jalen Tyson,
elaborate?
I understood what he
Jalen
meant.
Tyson's minutes, he's been one of the better, more impactful and ready-made rookies at the
He
wing
cool.
spot. You still have some wing depth. And the point that I was making is when you acquire Jimmy,
I asked you a question,
think-
you didn't answer it.
Give me a second. I want to highlight this part.
He's
Jimmy's the
not
type
feeling
of
you
guy
today,
who will
John.
play up to 40 minutes a game in the playoffs. I think his kind of leadership could instill and spark something even more in Evan Mobley and his confidence. And along the way, Jimmy Butler in the interior, I think is going to make life easier for the backcourt.
Before you ask me, before you go on your
I
spiel,
think
because
he
I know
makes
you're
life
ready. I
easier for
know.
the backcourt.
I'm not
you're
going
ready
to say too much.
just-
I want to
just
ask
quick-
a question
just
on all
quick
Can
you.
you
Quack.
switch Strus and Niang?
No, you ain't,
No,
Strus makes like
Strus is
16
making
mil.
15. Yeah, I wish you could.
John,
Well, actually, I don't know. because
John.
I'm fine saying Strus.
John.
I'm good.
John, they're sitting at 29-4, something.
29-4.
Something ridiculous.
72 win pace.
72 win pace. The vibes are immaculate.
Yeah.
The starting five doesn't even play more than 30 minutes.
Yep.
They're blowing teams out.
Our four best bench players. Here you go.
Do
We'll
you
take it.
think, and like the
not the four
vibe,
best
the,
Well, I was gonna say
Their
it's
best bench
literally-
player staying. That's Ty Jerome.
Yeah.
Second best.
Karis
I'm sorry.
LeVert.
I'm sorry. Second best. You're right.
yeah.
I view Karis LeVert as a swing starters. That's why I said that.
Okay, swing starter,
Anyways.
bench player. Anyways, do you think Jimmy Butler coming in, trading those guys might shake up what Cleveland has kind of built in this department? Like, do you think
Could.
they risk that?
It could, but you want to know what you have to do? You have to beat the Boston Celtics. In order to beat the Celtics, you need the wing power, not the wing depth. You need the star power at the wings to hang with Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown. And I like Isaac Okoro as a role player, and I like Dean Wade. As much as I like him, I know they cannot hang with the Jays. And beyond that, the Raptors in 2019 had a very good start to the year.
Yep.
They're still like, yeah, send Valanciunas off to get Marc Gasol, and Marc Gasol was a needle mover for them. I know their personalities are a lot different.
laughing?
But when you want to win a championship and the right move comes
agree.
about and you do
That's
have
a lot to give
hole,
out.
it's a huge
What is
risk.
this, 5 seconds?
But I don't look at the Cavaliers with that current win duo and say they can beat the Celtics in 7 games. I think they can push them to 6. I think they can push them to 7 maybe. But I don't take them to win unless you make the type of move to get Jimmy
So what are
Butler.
they, 5
You're
seconds and 4 players?
absolutely correct. Jimmy Butler is a needle mover for them.
Come.
Is the bench not a serious problem?
Would you rather worry about we don't have a star to match up with the Jays or 8th man off the bench? Our
They
third guy
have
off the
4
bench?
all-stars.
Well, what's been the ingredients for their success?
They have a good
Their
bench still. They're back. I mean, you have Sam Merrill shooting
Look,
the
I'm
cover
just-
off
I
the
just-
ball.
I'm
and
asking
then
you this
Ty
simple
Jerome.
But he's
question.
also playing off of the bench guys
Can
of Levert.
I'll
of
ask
Ty,
all
and
you.
shit like
I'll
that.
ask all you 3 this question. Okay, just answer it for me one by one.
You can also stagger minutes with Jimmy.
You have to. At
You
this
That's
could.
what I mean.
You have to, but
It's
you'll
a great-
always.
You'll
it's a
always
great-
have a ball
It's a
hand-
great
yes.
opportunity.
No, they
I'll
do it
start-
now.
I'll start with
Yeah.
you.
Talk to
Riff.
me, gang member.
Huh?
Your
Pick
best
a side
3,
gang member. We're good.
your best 3 players off the bench being Taj Jerome, Sam Merrill, and Georges Niang. You trust that in the playoffs?
I trust Ty Jerome.
You trust Jalen Tyson? I like me some Jalen Tyson.
He's a rookie. I can't really give you any feedback on that. I trust
And
Ty
also,
Jerome.
with no Dean Wade, they have no big presence off the
Sam
bench either.
Murrell is. I've watched a damn near every Cleveland game. Sam Murrell is really good when he's hitting the 3 ball. He is different than Garland, where they both get hunted, but Garland can hold his own. Murrell cannot, which is why he's a little dangerous. Where if he's streaky, he's not streaky, but if he's missing that 3 ball, you sit him down pretty quickly.
Are those 3 players? I'll ask you. What's your answer to this? No.
You're probably the weakest
Simple.
3 going in out of the top.
Thank
3.
you.
It's no. That being said, you can live with it if in the playoffs my starting 5 is probably going to play upwards of 38 to 42 minutes.
I understand it, but even with how many minutes you're playing, you still need to allocate some bench minutes.
Benches win now.
John, do you trust that
Okay.
bench?
Not a whole lot. Not much, no.
Okay, that's my biggest concern with this deal. I love Jimmy Butler going to Cleveland. I just think Cleveland would give up a lot of what has made them really good this
What's
year.
the deal
Max
for the
Strus-
Grizzlies?
It's really
can
Luke Kennard,
make one.
Brandon Clark, and
You said Marcus Smart.
Marcus Smart.
I really think the difference with that is Cleveland just has to worry about Boston.
Yeah.
With Memphis, even if you do get Jimmy, you still got to worry about Dallas, a team that's had your number. You still got to worry about
OKC,
OKC.
Also
Denver.
with
Worry about
Memphis, I
Denver.
didn't even mention, but like they're deeper than the Cavs. As crazy as
yeah.
that sounds,
Oh,
it's
yeah.
just
Easy.
you know
Easily.
your starting five
Yeah.
would be Ja, Desmond Bain, Jimmy Butler, Jaren Jackson Jr., Zach Edey. Off the bench, you would have Scottie
Aldama.
Pippen Jr. still. You would have
Aldama.
Jay Huff. You would have Aldama. You would
Gigi
have Jake
Jackson
LaRavia,
and Vince
Jalen
Williams.
Wells, G.G. Jackson,
keep
Vince
going.
Williams.
Shit doesn't
I mean,
stop.
like they can trade.
They've been cooking.
Yes,
They're like
they can
14
trade
rotation
3
players.
players that are good
still be
rotational
fine.
players
And have
and be
5
fine.
more.
With the Cavs, I'm like, okay, I really don't like. Listen, all respect to the season Ty Jerome is having. In the playoffs, he's gonna get hunted,
He's not even playing a lot of minutes right
and
now.
we have to see. We have to see how
Why
he
is
plays in
going
the
to get
playoffs.
hunted?
On
He's
defense, he's
slow-footed.
100%.
Okay, but
on defense.
offensively, he knows how to handle the ball.
I know, but Karis
yes, he
LeVert
does.
being Karis
He's one of the
LeVert,
best players in a pick and roll.
Karis LeVert is their best player off the bench when handling the ball and having
Ty's
that
only playing about
responsibility.
18 minutes a game now.
I was going to say, the players that are playing the most off the bench, Okoro's playing, averaging like 22 minutes a game. Dean Wade's averaging around 20 minutes a game. That's
it's-
why it would. The 3 that you mentioned, that would hurt, obviously. It would hurt to lose LeVert. It would
lot.
hurt to lose
Dean
No
Wade.
Dean
doubt.
Wade.
LeVert,
Okoro
Wade.
you live with, but you're getting
solid. He's
Jimmy. You're getting Jimmy. Like
I mean, you're getting Jimmy. I know
shooting
that,
ball,
but
his limited
this is the
attempts.
thing with the Cavaliers.
if you got to keep Okoro, would you be okay with it?
I'd obviously.
I'm
rather
only
keep-
asking Joel.
Yeah, that's another wing
Yes,
defender.
agreed.
He's the
Because
best perimeter defender.
outside of Jimmy Butler would be their only wing defender.
Correct.
Oh, wait,
That's it. Well, Mobley too, of
there we
course.
go.
But
Say,
I'm talking
you're
about,
talking about Garland?
I'm talking about like in
Big
the
Mo,
forward,
Big Mo.
real the forward position. I know Mobley's like he's like a tweener.
He can guard
but
everything.
Really, outside of him, you can't put George Niang on somebody. You can't
Hell
put
no.
Todd Jerome on somebody. You
put
can't put
Mendy on
Sam Merrill on somebody.
Right.
So that's where like Max Strus, even though Max Strus isn't a great defender, he's somebody that's serviceable.
Instead
Dean
of
Wade can
Okoro,
play
can you
defense.
put in-
Okoro can play defense.
Can you put in Niang and the trade will work or
Okoro
no?
makes 12. I'm saying it would have to be instead of Wade,
I tried
Niang.
that. It didn't work on fans, but
'Cause you would need, like,
then the
somebody
Heat-
else from
Then the
Jimmy.
Heat are taking like $1 million too much. I think this question comes down to: would you rather those 3 rotation players who have been superb in their roles, or Jimmy Butler? And I would be tempted to have Jimmy Butler on my team.
I would rather the flexibility that
But he's right.
No, D. Mitch, 45, 41, 81 splits.
No, I've been talking shit. I'm talking shit.
Oh,
I'm talking shit.
Don't you,
I
you
would
scared me
rather
for-
I was
have
talking shit.
the flexibility that
he's like,
keeping
shit.
those 4 on their contracts gives me
Right.
for the next 3-4 years. Because they're one of the best teams in the NBA. I think,
Right.
can the Jimmy Butler move take them over the top? It can. I think they're contenders now, though.
scary.
I think they're a really great team now.
agree.
They're figuring things out.
Are they legitimate contenders?
Yeah.
They're not the best team in the East. They're not the Celtics. I think they're in the category with the Knicks right now, where things got to go right for them to make the finals. But
Things have to go right, as in the Celtics have to get injured.
or it's just about shot making. If in a series against the Celtics, you need Donovan Mitchell to play his best brand of basketball. You also need Darius Garland to play his best brand of basketball. And I think that's the biggest question mark that we have right now. That is Garland going to show up, and also you need the Cavaliers to dominate the interior in a
I
series
was
like
going
that.
to say, dude, Mobley offensively, that's really what's been a huge boost for them
Yes.
this season. I mean, his ability to roll, his ability to handle the ball.
3-ball looking real cool in limited
Like
minutes.
we
calm.
see all the time, teams they make these great trades and then they lose all of their depth and part of their identity. And Jimmy Butler is like, okay, are the Cavaliers already giving all-star level contracts to Mitchell, Mobley, Jared Allen, and Garland? Are they going to also attribute that to Jimmy Butler after this season? And then they're going to have no flexibility to make any moves to improve
the
their
scary
depth.
part.
That's a
So
valid
for,
point.
so for me, like I'm looking at
To be fair, though, do you think Jimmy would accept his player option to play with them next year?
he could,
Like,
I'm not going to rule that out.
He sees they make a little deep run, they have a chance. And, Jimmy has played with, to a lesser degree, more deeper teams with Miami, but less top-end talent.
Yeah.
Right.
And he's given
This
the
is
Celtics
insane.
hell.
Like, listen,
Yeah.
I think the Cavaliers' destination is a great spot, and if Jimmy Butler gets traded to them, I think they can compete with Boston and potentially beat them without a
like
doubt.
regular season,
I
though.
do think there's some question marks about them in that depth. The bench really becomes thin
Right.
to where I don't think the Grizzlies have those same concerns.